Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Kitchen Table Talks, the place where stories don't just get told, they come and sit with you for a while. I'm Pat Sajak, and tonight I'd like to invite you into a very quiet corner, one man's life a corner, lit by a single dim bulb, somewhere far from home, on a night when he wasn't sure he'd live to see the sun. Before we begin, if you're joining us here for the first time, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if tonight's story speaks to you or stirs a memory, leave us a comment down below. You never know who might need to read your words. Tonight's story comes in the form of a letter. It was written during the Vietnam War by a young American soldier from a small town in Ohio, a man who spent one long night praying, not for victory, but for the gift of one more tomorrow. If I don't make it to tomorrow, I hope someone, someday, finds these words and understands that I was more than a uniform and more than a name on a wall. Written by PFC Michael A. Callahan. Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, near Da Nang, Vietnam. March 3rd, 1969. Dear God, or whoever's still listening, I've never been much of a praying man. Back in Cedar Grove, Ohio, my mom kept a Bible on the kitchen counter, right next to the chipped sugar jar and the radio that only played country stations when the clouds were in the right mood. She'd say grace before dinner every single night, even when it was just meatloaf and instant mashed potatoes. I would bow my head because she told me to, but I don't think I ever really talked to you. Out here, though, it's different. Out here, in this patch of mud and wire and shadows that they call a fire base, there isn't much else to talk to. The guys are asleep, at least the ones who can sleep. The jungle is humming and hissing like some living thing that doesn't care if we make it to morning. Somewhere, not too far away, I can hear occasional artillery thump sores. I'm not even sure anymore. The sky flashes every so often like a storm with no rain. And me? I'm sitting on an ammo crate with a dull pencil, a torn page from my notebook, and a feeling in my chest that if I don't write this down, I might just come apart quietly in the dark. They taught us how to shoot, how to march, how to identify targets and follow orders. Nobody taught us what to do with all this waiting. Waiting for letters, waiting for orders, waiting for the next explosion, waiting for the next name to be missing at roll call. So tonight, instead of writing to Mom, or to my kid brother Tommy, or to Sarah back home, the girl who said she'd wait, I'm writing to you. Or maybe I'm just writing to the night to prove that I'm still here. My name is Michael Andrew Callahan, but everyone here just calls me Mikey or Cal. I'm 22 years old. I used to pump gas and fix tires at Joe's service station on the corner of Main and Maple, right across from the diner that makes the best cherry pie in Ohio, or at least that's what the sign says. I had plans once, simple ones. I was going to save up, buy a used Chevy, marry Sarah, and maybe one day take over Joe's station when he got too old to crawl under cars. We were going to have a little house with peeling paint we'd fix ourselves, a dog that barked at the mailman, and maybe a kid or two running around the yard tracking mud into the kitchen. Funny how all of that can feel more unreal than this place, this village of sandbags and split-second decisions on the other side of the world. Tonight, the air is thick and wet, and every breath tastes like metal and smoke. The guys are stretched out in their bunks, boots still on, rifles within reach. Someone's got a picture of a baby taped above his head. Someone else has a photo of a girl on a beach. I've got a folded Polaroid of Sarah in a sundress, standing in front of my rusty old pickup, squinting against the sun. She looks like summer. This place feels like a season God forgot to finish. I don't know what tomorrow brings. We heard talk of a patrol at first light, another walk down another road where the trees have eyes, and the ground sometimes opens up with fire. So tonight, I want to say a few things, just in case I don't get to say them tomorrow. If I'm being honest, God, I'm not praying for glory. I'm not praying for medals. I'm not praying to be remembered in some book or carved into some stone. I'm praying for small things, for one more sunrise, for one more letter with Mom's handwriting on the envelope, for Tommy to win that stupid Little League game he keeps talking about, for Sarah to keep her prom even if it's only for a little while longer. I'm praying that if I do make it home, I'll still know how to hold a wrench instead of a rifle, that I'll still remember how to laugh without feeling guilty, that I'll be able to sleep without waiting for something to explode. But if I don't make it home, if tomorrow is the last page in my story, then I'm praying for the people I'll leave behind. That Mom doesn't blame herself, that Tommy doesn't decide to follow in my footsteps just to wear the same uniform, that Sarah finds someone who comes back to her, not just someone who promised he would. Everyone says we're fighting for freedom, but lately I've started to think we're all just fighting for a chance to go back to the people we used to be. I don't know if you listen to guys like me who only remember how to pray when the night feels a little too quiet and the next day feels a little too far away. But if you do, if you're out there somewhere beyond this heavy sky, here's my prayer for tomorrow. Let me wake up. Let me stand up. Let me sling this rifle over my shoulder and walk one more mile with the men beside me. Let me see the sun burn off this fog. Let me write one more letter to Mom, one more to Tommy, one more to Sarah, telling her that I'm okay even if I have to lie a little. And if tomorrow isn't mine to have, then please, please, take care of them. Dear God, or whoever hears the quiet thoughts of men like me, there's something strange about writing in the dark. It makes a man honest in ways daylight never does. Maybe it's because out here, night is the only time that doesn't ask anything of us. Daytime demands courage. March here, hold that line, keep your head low, keep moving forward. But nighttime just asks you to remember what it feels like to be human. I can hear Sergeant Walker snoring somewhere behind me. He's from Arkansas, talks with a drawl thick enough to butter bread. He likes to pretend he's meaner than he is. Calls me Ohio most days, even though he knows my name as well as his own. He's got a son back home, Jimmy, 7 years old, missing one front tooth. He shows Jimmy's school photo to anyone who'll stand still long enough. Says he keeps it in the same pocket as his cigarettes because that way, when the kid grows up, he'll know his old man carried him next to something he loved. I laughed when he said it the first time. Now, it just breaks something inside me. Across from me, leaning on a pair of rucksacks, is Jefferson, a kid from Detroit who's only 19 but has eyes older than my grandfather's. Earlier tonight, he asked if I thought he'd live long enough to buy a house. I didn't know what to say, so I told him yes, because sometimes telling the truth out here is the cruelest thing you can do. Someone else, maybe Rogers from New Mexico, is crying softly in his bunk. I pretend not to hear it. We all do. A man crying in the dark isn't weakness. It's just a heartbeat trying not to break. The jungle is louder tonight, like it knows something we don't, like it's whispering warnings in a language older than war. Every crack of a branch makes my hand tighten around my rifle. Every distant thud makes my stomach twist. We're supposed to go out at dawn, a patrol down a stretch of road the locals won't even walk anymore. They call it Kondong Konyung Linhon, the road of spirits. Even the translators won't go near it. The higher-ups say it's safe enough with support, but the higher-ups sleep far from here, in places where the air doesn't taste like fear. One of the guys Mendez wears, he saw movement in the tree line earlier. A shadow, 2 shadows, maybe more. Walker told him it was just monkeys, but Mendez didn't look convinced. Truth is, none of us are. I keep thinking about home, about the things I never appreciated before I left. Going to the grocery store with Mom, the smell of gasoline at the station, the old ceiling fan in the living room that rattled whenever Dad turned it on, the way Sarah's hand fit perfectly in mine, like we were made from the same shape of longing. It's funny how war makes you remember every tiny thing you ever loved, even the things you didn't realize were worth loving at the time. I pulled out Sarah's Polaroid again a few minutes ago, held it under the small flashlight so dim it barely counts as light. Her smile looks braver than I ever felt. She wrote on the back, "Come home to me, S." I trace the letters with my thumb until they blur. But that's tomorrow's promise. And tomorrow isn't a guarantee out here. If I'm being honest, God, I'm scared. Not of dying. I've made peace with the idea that my story might end in a place I never meant to be. What scares me is the thought of not being remembered right, of Mom thinking I was stronger than I really was, of Tommy thinking war is something glorious, of Sarah thinking I didn't fight hard enough to come back to her. I want them to know the truth. I tried. Every single day, I tried. And if tomorrow morning I step onto that road and don't come back, I need this letter to be the piece of me they can hold in their hands. The guys think I'm writing a letter home right now. I didn't correct them. They don't need to know that this is the only place I can speak honestly. I told Walker earlier that I felt like tonight was too quiet. He said there's no such thing out here. Quiet just means the danger hasn't decided who it wants yet. Maybe he's right. Maybe the silence is choosing. A few minutes ago, Jefferson rolled over and asked if I'd still pray when I got home. I almost laughed. Home feels like another lifetime. But I told him, yeah, maybe, because sometimes a man needs prayer even when he doesn't believe in prayer. And tonight, I guess I'm one of those men. So here it is, my real prayer. If tomorrow comes, let me be brave enough to face it. If tomorrow doesn't come, let the people I love remember the best parts of me, not the broken pieces this war carved out. Let Mom keep singing while she cooks. Let Tommy grow up without needing to see what I've seen. Let Sarah smile again without guilt, without waiting for a ghost. And let anyone tell them that on my last night alive, I love them more fiercely than fear itself. The pencil's getting dull. My hands are shaking. The sky is starting to lighten just a little. The kind of gray blue that shows up right before dawn decides whether it's coming or not. And I guess that means my time tonight is almost done. But before I stop, there's one more thing I want to say. Something I've never said out loud, even to myself. I don't want to die. Not because I fear death, but because I fear leaving my life unfinished. I fear leaving love unfinished. And that's the truth. God, or whoever's listening, that's the truth. Dear God, or maybe just the quiet, because the quiet seems to listen better. Dawn is still a ways off, but the sky is lifting just enough for me to make out the faint outline of the treetops. They look like dark, jagged teeth against the pale morning haze, the kind of sight that makes a man feel smaller than he ever thought possible. I tried to close my eyes for a few minutes, but sleep isn't something that visits me much these days. Not the real kind of sleep, anyway. Just flashes of its short, heavy drops into darkness that always end with the same thing. An explosion, a scream, a name I can't forget, Corporal Henry Hank Walters from Montana, the first friend I made in this place. He used to carve little wooden animals from scraps of crates, said he learned it from his grandfather. He carved a tiny horse for me once still, have it in my breast pocket even now, said it would keep me safe. Hank died on a morning just like this one, quiet, still, almost peaceful. Then one wrong step, one hidden trap, and a piece of the world broke open beneath him. They told us not to look. But I did, and sometimes, when I close my eyes, that's all I see. I think that's why I'm writing, because saying these things out loud is impossible. Men aren't supposed to say they're scared, not when we're all wearing the same uniform and carrying the same weight. But writing feels like confession without punishment. The others are stirring now. I can hear Walker coughing, that deep smoker's cough of his kind that sounds like gravel being ground under a boot. Mendez is tying his boots. Jefferson's trying to fold his blanket, even though his hands are shaking too much. Funny how none of us talk about the shaking. We just shake together, silently, pretending the cold is the reason. Someone, maybe Rogers, asked what time we're heading out. Walker said, at first light, which could mean 10 minutes or an hour, depending on the mood of the sky. I dread it, but I also dread staying here, because staying means more waiting, and waiting is its own kind of torture. I wonder what Mom is doing right now. Probably brewing her morning coffee, humming that old hymn she loves. I never learned the words, but I remember the sound. Funny how I can't recall half of the things they taught us in training, but I remember the exact way Mom's voice cracked on certain notes. And Sarah, I imagine her standing by the window of her parents' house, pulling her sweater tighter because she always gets cold in the mornings. Maybe she's thinking of me. Maybe she's trying very hard not to. She told me once, the night before I left, write to me as often as you can. Just a line, just anything. I need to know you're still somewhere in the world. I haven't written in almost a month. Not because I forgot, not because I don't want to, but because I don't know how to tell her that parts of me are disappearing faster than I can understand. How do you write love letters when you're not sure you'll live long enough for anyone to read them? Jefferson just walked past me, rubbing his eyes. He nodded at me, just a quick, silent nod. But I could see it, the fear he's trying to swallow. He's 19. 19. He should be worrying about exams or dates or whether his car will make it through the winter, not whether a hidden wire in the dirt might end his entire life in a blink. Sometimes I catch myself wanting to trade places with him. Let him have my years. Let him go home and grow old. What would I even do if I had those years? Would I run the gas station, marry Sarah, have kids who never learn what mortar fire sounds like? Or would the war follow me home, creeping into my sleep, waiting for me in the corners of quiet rooms? Maybe none of us really leaves this place, even if our bodies do. Walker just handed me a cup of instant coffee. It tastes like burnt dust, but right now it feels like a blessing. He said, "Drink up, Ohio. Might be the only warm thing you get today." He grinned after he said it, but there wasn't any real joy in it, just habit, just a man trying to keep another man standing. I think that's what we do out here. We hold each other up, not with words, because words feel too fragile, but with presence, with the simple act of not falling apart at the same time. The lieutenant is whispering to Walker now. I can see their silhouettes by the map table. Walker's shoulders are tense. He's nodding, but slowly, like each nod costs him something. Whatever the plan is, it isn't good. I can feel it in my bones, in the way the air has gone still, in the way the insects have quieted, in the way every man in this camp suddenly seems to be listening for something, even if they don't know what. I reach into my pocket and touch the little wooden horse Hank carved. My thumb fits perfectly into the tiny groove on its back. It's smooth from all the times I've held it during nights like this. I whisper, "Keep me safe, buddy," even though I know the carving can't hear me. But maybe the memory of Hank does. Maybe memories matter more than miracles. Dawn is coming. I can see the light stretching faintly across the dirt. It's almost beautiful, in a cruel sort of way. The lieutenant just said, "Saddle up." And my heart dropped, just like that. No dramatic moment, no speech, just two words, spoken quietly into the morning air. I tucked this letter into my left breast pocket, close to my heart, in case the day decides it wants to keep something else of mine. If this page ends up in someone's hands someday, Mom's, Tommy's, Sarah's, or maybe no one at all, I hope they understand this. I didn't write because I was ready to die. I wrote because I still wanted to live. And that wanting, that hope, however small, is my prayer for tomorrow. Dear God, or maybe dear tomorrow, because tomorrow is the thing I'm really praying to. We've begun the walk. I'm writing this in piecey, scribbling a line or two whenever the lieutenant calls for a halt. The pencil keeps shaking, not from the weight of my rifle, but from the weight in my chest. The jungle is thicker than usual this morning, heavy, dense, as if the world doesn't want us walking through it. The humidity clings to my skin like a second uniform, and every breath tastes like wet leaves and rust. Even the birds refuse to sing. All we can hear is the crunch of boots in the mud, the clicking of safeties being checked again and again, and the occasional whisper from someone reminding the man next to him to watch his spacing. It doesn't take much for everything to become nothing out here. Walker is right in front of me. Jefferson is at my back. Mendez is off to the left, scanning the trees as if he expects them to suddenly grow teeth. We don't speak. We can't. Our voices feel too loud, even in a whisper. A moment ago, Jefferson brushed my elbow and murmured, "Do you think we'll make it back today?" I didn't answer, because I don't know. Because I don't want to lie anymore, not even to save a young man's courage. So I just gave him a small nod, and he nodded back. Two men who understand that today might be the last sunrise either of us sees. The air suddenly shifts, just enough to make the hairs on my arms stand up. Something's wrong. Something's watching. It's strange how the body knows before the mind does. There's a tightening in the stomach, a prickling at the base of the neck, a silent alarm that starts ringing even before danger reveals itself. Walker must feel it too. He raises his fist, the signal to stop. We freeze. Every man becomes a statue. Every breath becomes measured, quiet, borrowed. The lieutenant lowers himself slightly, listening to the jungle the way a man listens for a heartbeat. I close my eyes for a second, not to pray exactly, but to steady the shaking. When I open them again, everything looks sharper. The sunlight filtering through the leaves, the steam rising from the damp earth, the faint trail ahead that disappears into the brush like a question no one wants to answer. We wait. 10 seconds, 20, maybe a minute. Finally, Walker moves again, slow and careful, waving us forward. But something inside me refuses to settle. I slip a hand into my pocket and touch Hank's wooden horse. A habit, a comfort, a reminder that I am still here, still breathing, still fighting the fear that grows like vines around my ribs. My thoughts drift, as they always do when I'm afraid, back to home. I imagine Mom tying her apron, humming as she cracks eggs into a skillet. She never let fear take her voice. Even when Dad went to Korea, even when the telegrams came for other families, she kept singing. I imagine Tommy racing his bicycle down Maple Street, his laughter echoing through the neighborhood. He's probably complaining to Mom that his cereal is too soggy or that school is boring. He doesn't know that breakfast and boredom are luxuries. And Sarah, I imagine her sitting on the porch steps, her chin on her knees, looking down the road the way she did the day I left. Hope in her eyes, fear in her silence. I wonder if she still looks for me, or if it hurts too much now. The lieutenant suddenly signals again, this time sharper, faster. We drop to our knees. My heart slams against my ribs. The men exchange wide, alert eyes. Even the air feels like it's holding its breath. A soft clicking sound echoes from somewhere up ahead. Then another, then silence, the kind of silence that means someone else is out here. Walker whispers, barely audible, tripwire, right side. My blood runs cold. If Walker hadn't spotted it, Jefferson just 19 would have walked right into it. I swallow hard. My mouth has gone dry. The lieutenant motions us to back up slowly, step by step, careful not to disturb the leaves, the roots, the ground beneath us. It takes 5 minutes to move 10 yards, 5 minutes that feel like an entire lifetime stretched thin. When we reach a safer patch of ground, Walker finally exhales. So do the rest of us. Jefferson wipes sweat from his forehead, though his hand is shaking so badly he almost smears mud across his eyes. You okay? I whisper. He nods, but tears pool in the corners of his eyes. Not fear, relief. A relief so overwhelming it breaks something open inside him. I place a hand on his shoulder. He leans into it just a little. Sometimes that's all a man needs. To know someone else is there in the moment, fear becomes too heavy to carry alone. We continue walking, slower now, more careful, more aware that life and death share the same road. Hours pass. The sun climbs, the air thickens, and with every step, the weight in my chest grows heavier. But strangely, a peace begins to settle in too. A small one, quiet, but real. Because I realize something. This letter, this confession, this prayer is more than words on a page. It's the part of me that refuses to die. Even if my body falls today, even if the jungle keeps my voice, this letter will carry the truth home. And that truth is simple. I loved, I hoped, I feared, I prayed, I lived. A crack echoes in the distance, then another, not branches, rifle fire. Walker spins. The lieutenant shouts a command, and just like that, my pencil slips from my fingers. The world explodes into motion. I grab the paper, shove it into my breast pocket, and run. If I don't finish this letter today, if these words end mid-sentence, then let whoever reads it understand this. I did not run from fear. I ran toward the hope of one more tomorrow. Dear God, or maybe dear whoever finds this, I don't know how to begin this part. My hands are still shaking. My ears are ringing. Time feels broken, like it's shattering into pieces too small to gather. The firefight started fast, the way storms sometimes do. Not with warning, not with mercy, but with a crack that tears the morning in half. The first shot came from the tree line, then two more. Then the jungle swallowed us whole. Walker shoved me behind a fallen log, shouting, "Contact, right! Get down, Ohio!" Bullets snapped past my head like angry insects. The mud beside my cheek erupted in tiny explosions. Jefferson fell next to me, scrambling, panic rising in his eyes. "Cal! Cal, what do we do?" he yelled. Before I could answer, the lieutenant's voice cut through the chaos. "Return fire and fall back. Don't let them flank you." I don't remember drawing my rifle. One moment my hands were empty. The next they were gripping cold metal that suddenly felt too heavy for bones made of fear. I fired, blindly at first. Then deliberately, breath by breath, the world became sound and smoke, screaming, branches snapping. The metallic taste of adrenaline on my tongue. And under all of it, one thought kept pounding. Not today. Please, not today. We moved in bursts. Fire, crawl, fire again. Trying to break contact. Walker grabbed Jefferson by the collar when he froze, shouting at him to move. Mendez hurled a smoke grenade, the air filled with thick, ghostly clouds that clung to the trees like fog from another world. Through the haze, I could see flashes. Muzzle fire, shadows running, death choosing directions. We reached a small ravine and slid down the dirt slope. My shoulder slammed into a rock. Pain shot through my arm, but I didn't have time to feel it. We huddled behind cover, gasping, coughing, clutching our rifles. The lieutenant crawled toward us, mud smeared across his face. "We hold here," he ordered, breathless. "Walker, get a count!" Walker's voice cracked as he shouted names. Some answered immediately, some answered faintly. One didn't answer at all. Rogers. We all looked up the slope toward the jungle, still echoing with gunfire, but no one moved to go back. No one could. War has rules that mercy cannot break. Jefferson wiped his eyes with a muddy sleeve. "He was right behind me," he whispered. I thought he was right behind me. Walker put a firm hand on his shoulder. "We can't do anything for him now." And just like that, another name carved itself into the quiet part of my heart, the part that keeps a list of faces I can't afford to forget. The firing slowed, then stopped. But the silence afterward felt worse, a cruel, heavy silence, the kind that makes a man feel like God stepped out of the room. The lieutenant waited, listening, rifle raised. Minutes stretched thin, breaths grew shallow. Finally, he said, "We're moving, now." Before they circle around, we started back toward the firebase, formation tight, weapons ready. My legs felt like wet sandbags. Every step was a negotiation with gravity. Halfway back, we stopped at a clearing. I leaned against a tree, trying to steady my breath. That's when I felt something warm on my ribs, a trickling. I lifted my hand. Blood. Not a lot, but enough. A bullet must have grazed me when I wasn't looking, or when I was looking in the wrong direction. Walker saw the stains spreading across my shirt. "You hit?" he asked. "Just scratched." I lied. He looked at me the way a father looks at a son who thinks he's fooling him. "Make sure your mom gets another letter from you, Ohio," he muttered. "It's the only insurance we got out here." His words landed heavy, because he didn't mean insurance, he meant goodbye. We resumed the march. The sun climbed higher. The air grew hotter. My wound burned. But the pain wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that my mind kept going back to the letter in my pocket. This letter, this prayer, this confession. I'm writing one line at a time as the world around me tries to tear itself apart. Because if something happens to me today, this might be the only part of me that makes it home. We finally reached the outskirts of the firebase. The sight of the sandbags felt like salvation. A medic pulled me aside and wrapped my shoulder. "You're lucky," he said. "Half an inch deeper and you'd be meeting Jesus." I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I've been writing to God all night, and now someone tells me I'm lucky he didn't answer sooner. Now I'm sitting behind a bunker wall while the others check gear and reload magazines. I can still hear distant gunfire, a reminder that the world hasn't finished fighting today. Jefferson sits beside me, knees pulled to his chest. He whispers, "Cal, do you think Rogers felt anything?" I swallow hard. Lie number one, no. It was fast. He nods, tears slipping silently down his cheeks. I pretend not to notice. Mendez walks by, helmet tilted, jaw clenched. He places a hand on Jefferson's back, then mine. A small, wordless gesture of solidarity. In war, men love each other quietly. As I write this, Walker is cleaning his rifle. He pauses, looks at me, and says, You finished that letter yet, Ohio? Not yet, I answer. He nods. Don't wait too long. His voice cracks on the last word, and suddenly I'm terrified. Not of the enemy, not of tomorrow, but of leaving this letter unfinished, this prayer unspoken, this truth untold. So here it is, my truth. In case the sun sets today without me, I'm still afraid, still hoping, still standing, still praying. And if tomorrow comes, I'll finish what I started. But if tomorrow doesn't, then let this page be the last breath I send home. Dear God, or dear tomorrow. Because one of you is going to answer me sooner or later. It's been a few hours since the firefight. The sun is high now, turning everything into a washed-out blur. The red dirt, the rusted metal, the sweat that stings my eyes and runs down my neck like melted fear. The medic says, I'm fine, but I feel anything but fine. Something about the way he looked at me too long, too carefully, tells me that fine is just a word men say out here, because the truth is too heavy for the throat. My shoulder burns. My hands won't stop shaking. And there's a sound in my head, a dull ringing, that reminds me of the church bell back in Cedar Grove. Except this bell doesn't call anyone home. It just keeps tolling the same message. You made it out today, but don't assume tomorrow owes you anything. Walker tossed me a canteen earlier. Drink, he said, as if water can wash away the taste of fear. He sat down beside me, leaning against the bunker wall, helmet tipped forward to shadow his eyes. You know, he murmured, every morning I wake up out here, I'm surprised. I tried to laugh, but it got caught somewhere in my chest. He continued, I told myself when Jimmy was born that I'd quit smoking, start eating better, start saving money. Thought I was planning for the future. He shook his head. Funny thing about the future, doesn't seem to care much about our plans. I didn't know what to say, because he was right, and because I wasn't sure if I even had a future left to plan for. Jefferson shuffled over next, eyes red-rimmed but steady now. He sat on my other side, knees drawn up, arms wrapped around them. Cal, he whispered, I don't want to be scared anymore. I'm tired of waking up wondering if this is the day. And God, what do you say to a 19-year-old who's already lived through hell? I didn't have an answer. I only placed a hand on his shoulder and squeezed. Sometimes that's the only language we have left. Someone began heating rations in a metal tin, the smell drifting across the camp. Burnt beans, a hint of bitterness, the taste of survival. Food doesn't mean much here. It just keeps the body moving while the soul tries to catch up. As the men settled into a strange, uneasy calm, I walked a few yards away to a quiet stretch where the ground dips and the jungle sounds are softer. I needed space. I needed silence. I needed a place where I could hear myself think without gunfire completing my sentences. I took out my notebook, what's left of it, and ran my finger along the torn edges. It hit me then like a punch from the inside. This letter isn't just a message. It's my witness. If someone back home ever reads it, they won't just know that I fought. They'll know who I was when I was fighting, a man who prayed for tomorrow, not because he feared death, but because he still had pieces of life left unfinished. A man who still loved fiercely, quietly, hopelessly. A man who still remembered the way Sarah smiled when she tucked her hair behind her ear right before she said, "You better come home to me, Michael Callahan. I'm not done loving you yet." God, that sentence alone is enough to make me want to live through 10 wars. But wanting doesn't stop bullets. The lieutenant came by as I was writing, mud streaked across his face, eyes hollow but determined. "We'll send out another patrol later," he said. "Can't let them pin us down." Meaning, we aren't done being hunted today. He paused, staring at the ground as if the dirt might whisper a safer plan. Then he added quietly, "You all right?" It was the first time he'd asked me that, and there was something unsettling about the question. People only ask you if you're all right when they suspect you're not. "I'm okay," I lied. He nodded, though he didn't believe me. Then he turned and walked away, leaving a trail of doubt behind him. I sat alone for a long while, listening to the distant thumps of artillery and the low hum of the jungle. There's a strange thing that happens in moments like this. Your mind starts drifting toward the things you miss most. The smell of fresh-cut grass after Dad mowed the lawn. The sound of Tommy slurping soup even after Mom told him to stop. The way Sarah's footsteps sounded on the wooden porch steps at dusk. You start wondering if those memories are still happening without you, or if they only lived in the version of you that stayed home. I don't want to be forgotten. I don't want to fade into a folded flag or a name on a metal wall. I want to live, not just survive, live, to go home, to hold Sarah, to fix the carburetor at Joe's station, to laugh again without feeling guilty. But the world doesn't always line up with what we want. Jefferson's voice drifted over to me again. Cal, he called softly. Yeah? Do you think God still listens out here? I didn't answer at first, because how do you explain faith when every direction is filled with ghosts? But finally I said, I think God listens hardest where the world is loudest. He nodded like a child trying to believe in something that keeps slipping through his fingers. And then he asked, do you think he'll give us tomorrow? I blinked hard, swallowed the answer that scared me, then said, I think we have to give ourselves a reason to reach it. He smiled, a tiny, fragile smile, the kind a storm could break. But for now, it stayed whole. I should rest, but I can't. My thoughts won't stop moving, and the sky is growing darker again. Night falls quickly here, as if someone pulls a curtain across the world. Before I end this part of the letter, I want to write something I've never said aloud. I'm tired of pretending I'm not afraid, and I'm tired of pretending I don't want to live. Fear is not weakness. Hope is not foolishness. And tomorrow, if I'm given another chance, I'll keep fighting for both. Dear God, or perhaps dear Sarah, because tonight my thoughts refuse to belong to anyone else. It's almost evening now. The sky is turning the color of bruised peaches purple along the edges, fading to gold where the sun tries to slip past the clouds. A strange kind of beauty for a place that has taken so much from us. We haven't been sent back out yet, but everyone knows it's coming. You can feel it in the air. A tension so heavy it pulls at your lungs. Men move quietly, like they're afraid sound alone might trigger another attack. Even Walker, who always finds a joke buried under every pile of misery, has gone silent. I never thought silence could be this loud. Earlier, I walked behind the mortar pit, a small area where the dirt turns reddish and the ground dips into shadows. It's the only place in camp where I can breathe without feeling like the world is watching. I sat on a log and closed my eyes. For a moment, just a moment, I let myself imagine I was somewhere else, back home, on the porch swing. Sarah beside me, wearing that blue sweater she always said made her feel pretty. The sun warm on our faces, the world simple again. But imagination is a cruel friend. It always leaves. A rustle behind me snapped my eyes open. It was Jefferson. He stood there awkwardly, shifting his weight, unsure if he should speak. You all right? He asked. Funny how often that question comes up out here, and how rarely anyone tells the truth. I'm trying to be, I said. He nodded and sat beside me, elbows on his knees, staring at nothing. After a while, he whispered, when we were getting shot at this morning, I thought about my mom. Something in his voice cracked. Not much, just enough to turn the boy into a child again. She used to hum when she cooked, he said. I remember thinking, if I can hear her humming one more time, I'll never complain about chores again. He swallowed hard. I didn't get to say goodbye when I left. We argued. I slammed the door. He took a shaky breath. Do you think she knows I'm sorry? I didn't realize it until that moment, but war doesn't just break bodies. It breaks unfinished conversations. I think she knows, I told him. People who love us, they understand more than we ever say. He didn't speak again, just wiped his eyes and leaned forward, letting the shadows swallow his tears so no one else would see. That's how men cry out here, quietly, privately, as if shame has any place among suffering. As dusk thickened, the lieutenant gathered us for briefing. He spoke with the kind of voice men use when they're trying very hard not to tremble. We're expecting movement tonight, he said. Stay sharp. Stay grounded. and no one leaves their post alone. Jefferson's hand brushed mine. His fingers were ice cold. Walker cleared his throat. "Don't worry, Ohio," he muttered. "If the Grim Reaper tries to visit, I'll make him fill out paperwork first." A few men chuckled, not because it was funny, but because we needed something to hold on to. When the lieutenant dismissed us, I went back to my corner of the bunker and tried to rest. But rest is a fantasy out here. Your mind won't let you close the door. I kept thinking about home, Mom, Tommy, and Sarah, especially Sarah. I imagined her sitting on her bed, hair down, reading my last letter. The one where I didn't say much because I didn't know how to say everything. I imagined her whispering my name into the quiet of her room. I imagined her waiting for a reply that came too slowly. War doesn't just stretch distance, it stretches silence too. If she could hear me now, if she could sit here beside me, I know exactly what I'd tell her. Not the things I wrote in those safe, censored letters. Not the "I'm fine" lies. Not the practiced optimism they tell us to send home. I tell her the truth, that I miss her so much my bones ache with it, that I'm tired of pretending to be brave, that I'm scared of losing the future we dreamed about, that every sunrise feels like a question and every sunset feels like a warning. I would take her hand, even just the memory of it, and tell her something I've never dared to write. I didn't know how much I wanted to live until I knew how easily I could die. A strange thing happened a little while ago. Mendez approached me with a folded scrap of paper. "Saw you writing earlier," he said. "Figured if something happens tonight, I should write too." He held out the paper toward me. "Can you keep this? Just in case?" Inside was a short message addressed to his sister. Simple, clumsy, but full of love that had no other place to go. His hands were trembling. I tucked the letter into my pack. "I'll keep it safe." He nodded once, sharply, as if showing gratitude might reveal too much. Men don't talk about feelings out here, but they hand you pieces of their heart, hoping you'll protect them from the dark. The sky is almost black now. I can see the faint orange glow of distant artillery lighting the horizon, storms of steel instead of rain. I don't know what tonight brings, but I feel something in the air. A weight, a promise, a whisper. Not everyone who sees the sunrise will see the sunset. Before darkness fully settles, I want to write something I've been avoiding, because writing it makes it real. If I don't make it to tomorrow, if this letter is the last thing I leave behind, I want whoever reads it, Mom, Tommy, Sarah, maybe a stranger to know this. I wasn't fearless. I wasn't unbreakable. I wasn't a hero. I was a man. Young, scared, hopeful, who prayed not for glory, but for another chance, another sunrise, another letter home, another tomorrow. And if tomorrow never comes, let this page be my voice in a world that took the rest of me. Dear God, the night has finally fallen, and with it comes the kind of silence that feels like a warning. The sky above us is black, not the peaceful kind of black you get in Ohio, where the stars look like sugar spilled across velvet. No, this is a different darkness, heavy, thick, a darkness that presses against your skin as if trying to swallow your name before morning comes. The men are at their posts, each of them a shadow hunched behind sandbags, rifles pointed toward a jungle that never stops breathing. I can hear Walker pacing behind the bunker. He does that when he's nervous, dragging the heel of his boot through the dirt as if drawing circles around his fear. Every few minutes he mutters something under his breath. A prayer, maybe, or a curse, or some combination of both. Jefferson is sitting next to me. He's cleaning his rifle for the third time tonight. Not because it needs it, but because keeping his hands busy keeps his thoughts from unraveling. "Mikey," he whispers, his voice barely audible over the hum of insects. "You think they'll come tonight?" His eyes are wide, too wide. Like a child who knows the monster under the bed is real. I hesitate, because honesty is a cruel knife in moments like this. But lying feels worse. So I say, I think, if they don't come tonight, they'll come soon. He nods, swallowing the fear. He's learning the same lesson we all learn. Out here, hope is fragile, but reality is relentless. In the distance, a flare goes off, painting the treetops in a blood-red glow. Instinctively, every man stiffens, hands tighten on triggers, breaths stop mid-chest, but nothing follows, just the slow fade of dying light. False alarm. But the damage is done. Every heartbeat in camp is now racing, waiting for the moment the world explodes again. The lieutenant comes by, kneeling beside us. "You two get some water," he orders, "and stay alert." Intel says they've been moving closer the last few nights. He says it like a statement, but it feels like a warning he doesn't know how to soften. When he leaves, Jefferson whispers, "I don't want to die in the dark." His voice cracks on the last word. A 19-year-old boy who came to war wanting to prove he was a man, now just wanting to live long enough to see another sunrise. "I don't want you to, either," I say. And for a moment, the truth between us feels like a shared shelter. Hours pass like slow-moving ghosts. The moon hides behind drifting clouds. The jungle rustles with secrets we can't afford to understand. I keep writing. One line, then stopping to listen, then writing again, as if this letter itself is the only thing holding my pieces together. My shoulder throbs beneath the bandage. The wound isn't deep, but the ache keeps reminding me how close today came to ending everything. There's something about almost dying that makes a man reflect harder on what he's living for. I think about Mom, about how she always left the porch light on whenever someone she loved was late coming home. I wonder if she leaves it on now, hoping the light might somehow stretch across the ocean to me. I think about Tommy, probably asleep in his room, a baseball glove under his pillow, because he's convinced dreams come truer if you sleep beside the things you love. And God, I think about Sarah, her voice, her laugh, the way she leaned into me when we danced in the dim lights of the county fair, her hair smelling like wildflowers, her heart beating quick beneath my hand. I remember the way she kissed me the night before I left, soft, trembling, desperate. "Come back to me," she whispered. "Even if you're broken, come back." Those words have lived inside me ever since. But tonight they feel heavier, as if the weight of them is pulling against fate itself. A sudden rustle slices through the quiet. Jefferson stiffens. Walker stops pacing. Men across the perimeter lift their rifles. Another rustle, closer this time. My breath freezes. The lieutenant raises a hand. The signal to hold fire. We wait. 10 seconds. 20. A full minute. The jungle rustles again, but this time the sound is lighter, faster. A boar bursts through the underbrush, snorting, tearing through the brush, vanishing into the night. Half the men exhale in relief. The other half curse under their breath. "Damn pig nearly gave me a heart attack," Walker mutters. But beneath the forced humor, fear lingers, because the men weren't scared of the pig. They were scared of what they thought it could have been, and so was I. The night grows colder. The stars flicker through patches of cloud. Everything feels suspended, a world waiting for something to break. I take the letter from my pocket again, running my fingers over the creases, the smudges, the earlier blood stain from the morning fight, and I realize something. I've written all of this to stop myself from disappearing. Out here, it's easy for a man to vanish. In a burst of fire, in a nameless moment, in a jungle that doesn't care who you were before you fell. But words leave footprints. Even if my body never makes it home, maybe my words will. And maybe that's enough. Before I stop writing for now, I want to say something that's been circling inside me all night. Not something I've been too afraid to carve into the page. If tonight is my last night on earth, then let whoever finds this know. I didn't die despising life. I died wanting more of it. More laughter, more summer evenings, more chances to love, more tomorrows. And God, please, please, let there be a tomorrow. For them, if not for me. Dear God, the night isn't quiet anymore. It's whispering, and every whisper sounds like a warning. There's a wind coming in from the east, not strong, but sharp enough to carry the smell of something burning far off in the jungle. The men can smell it too. You can see it in the way they sit up straighter, hands tightening around their rifles, breaths held just a little too long. War teaches you to read the land like scripture, And tonight, the land is telling us something is coming. Walker stops pacing. He leans against the bunker wall, arms crossed, jaw clenched tight. You feel that, Ohio? He murmurs. I nod. It's not a sound, not a sight, not anything you can point to. It's an absence, a strange, heavy stillness where the insects, the birds, even the wind seem to hold their breath, a stillness that does not belong in a living world. Jefferson creeps closer to me, his face pale in the faint moonlight. It's too quiet, he whispers. I don't tell him he's right. He knows he's right. We all do. A few minutes later, a flare shoots up somewhere far in the distance. It bursts into white light, harsh, blinding, unnatural, and then fades back into darkness. That wasn't ours, Mendez says quietly, and somehow that's worse. The lieutenant moves from post to post, checking each man with a subtle touch on the shoulder, a look in the eyes. He doesn't say much, just a tight nod, a firm squeeze, a silent message. Hold, stay ready. Not yet. I can tell he's afraid, but he carries fear the way good leaders do, folded deep inside like a letter he hasn't opened yet. I try to focus on my breathing, slow and steady, like Dad taught me back when we'd hunt deer in the woods by the river. Don't let the forest feel your fear, he used to say. But Vietnam isn't Ohio, and this forest feels everything. Jefferson whispers, Cal, you think we'll see the sun tomorrow? The question hits me like shrapnel. Simple, small, terrifying. I hope so, I say softly. I don't lie this time. I don't promise anything. Hope is all I have left to offer. He nods and presses his forehead against his rifle stock as if trying to draw courage from the cold metal. Suddenly, a branch snaps. Not loud, but loud enough. Every man freezes. Rifles lift in the same instant. Even the wind stops moving. Walker whispers, eyes up. Then the silence stretches, longer, longer, until it feels like the world might split open. But nothing comes. The jungle remains still. The lieutenant signals for us to hold position. His silhouette looks carved from stone, but I can see the tension in his shoulders. Minutes pass, slow, deliberate minutes where everyone becomes a statue, thinking only of breath, heartbeat, and the sound of dirt shifting beneath boots. I don't realize I'm gripping the wooden horse in my pocket until my knuckles ache. Hank's carving, his last gift. A reminder that death doesn't always give you time to say goodbye. The thought hits me hard. If I die tonight, no one will know my last words. No one will know I wasn't ready. No one will know I still had so much left to do, so much left to love. Sarah's face comes to me then, not as a memory, but as something vivid and alive, like she's standing right here beside me in the dark. Her smile, her trembling breath the night I left, the way she whispered, promise you'll come back. God, why did I promise? Promises are heavy things in a place where tomorrow is a stranger. The night grows darker. The stars fade behind clouds. Even the moon hides. And then a chirping sound. Soft, rhythmic, mechanical. Tripwire. Someone stepped on a tripwire. The lieutenant's eyes widen. Down, he shouts. We throw ourselves to the ground just as, boom, the explosion tears through the far edge of camp, a violent burst of light and fire that sends dirt and debris raining down on us. The shock wave hits my chest like a hammer. My ears ring. My vision blurs. Men scream. Shouts echo. Chaos erupts. Contact left! Contact left! Someone yells. Gunfire rakes through the brush. Tracers slicing red lines in the dark. Walker grabs me by the collar, pulling me behind a sandbag wall. Stay with me, Ohio! Stay with me! My hands fumble for my rifle. My heart is battering my ribs. The night explodes with muzzle flashes. Shadows darting between trees. Men shouting commands. The earth vibrating beneath us. Jefferson collapses beside me, covering his head with his arms. I can't, Cal, I can't. Yes, you can, I shout over the fire. Just breathe, damn it. but I'm not sure I'm breathing either. More gunfire, more explosions. The smell of burning cloth and hot metal fills the air. Someone screams for a medic. Someone else doesn't scream at all. I peek over the sandbags and fire blindly into the tree line, hoping my bullets hit something besides fear. The lieutenant crawls over, shouting, "They're trying to split the perimeter. Hold the line. Hold the line. Against the dark, against the unknown, against the truth that any second could be the last." Then, just as suddenly as it began, the gunfire thins. The shadows retreat. The jungle swallows the enemy as if hiding their sins. And we are left in the ashes of silence. My ears ring. Smoke stings my eyes. My breath shakes like it's afraid to leave my body. The lieutenant kneels beside a fallen soldier. I can't see who it is. Walker puts a hand over his face. Jefferson sobs quietly into the dirt. I sit back, chest heaving, and pull this letter from my pocket again, hands shaking so badly I can barely hold the pencil. And I write this because I need anyone to understand. I am not the same man who left Ohio. War has carved pieces out of me I may never get back, but the pieces that remain, I am writing them here, hoping they find their way home. Tonight, I saw how thin the line is between living and leaving. And God, I don't know how many tomorrows I have left, but I'm still praying for one more. Just one. Dear God, the firing has stopped, but the night hasn't given us back our breath yet. Smoke still hangs in the air like a ghost that refuses to leave. The ground trembles faintly beneath me, or maybe it's just my hands. I can't tell anymore. The jungle is quiet now, too quiet. A silence pulled tight, like the world is holding its breath for what comes next. Walker moves through the debris, checking bodies. He does it gently, which is strange for a man built from stubbornness and scar tissue. But war softens everyone somewhere, and for Walker, it's in moments like this. The lieutenant kneels beside a figure lying near the shattered remains of the West Post. His helmet is gone. His face is turned away. Jefferson grips my arm so hard it hurts. "Cal, who is that?" I shake my head. "I don't know." But my stomach already knows the answer won't be kind. The lieutenant looks up, and in the dim light of a flickering flare, I see it. A small, resigned shake of his head, and Walker's voice breaking in half as he whispers, "Mendez." Jefferson makes a sound, a choked, strangled gasp, like someone just pulled the ground out from under him. I shut my eyes for a moment, but grief doesn't stay behind closed lids. It climbs in. It remembers. I picture Mendez handing me that folded letter earlier tonight, his hands trembling, his eyes uncertain. "Can you keep this, just in case? Just in case." God, why do those words hurt so much now? I dig into my pocket where his letter rests, crushed slightly, a little wrinkled from the firefight, but still here. Still whole, a part of him the jungle didn't take. Jefferson collapses to his knees beside Mendez's body, shoulders trembling. He presses a hand against the dirt, as if trying to keep his friend from sinking into it. Hey was going home after this rotation. Jefferson sobs. He told me he was going to start over. Walker puts a hand on his shoulder, but even his voice is barely more than a breath. We all think we'll get another chance. Every damn one of us. The lieutenant stands, wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. He tries to order the men to regroup, to reset, to prepare for the possibility of another attack, but his voice cracks. Not much, just enough. Just enough to show he's still human. We move Mendez gently, laying him beneath the shelter of the bunker wall. Men avert their eyes, not out of disrespect, but because looking feels like trespassing on someone's last quiet moment. Someone starts humming a tune, soft, shaky. I think it might be Amazing Grace, but it's hard to tell through the broken notes. Jefferson doesn't leave Mendez's side. He just sits there, rocking slightly, mumbling something I can't hear. I sit beside him, placing a hand on his back. "It's all I can offer, Cal," he whispers, his voice thick and wet. Why him? Why not? Why not me? He was older, stronger, faster. Why? Why him? There aren't words for that, not real ones. War doesn't pick based on fairness. It picks based on proximity. It's not your fault, I say. It's not anyone's fault. But even as the words leave my mouth, I know they won't heal anything tonight. Some wounds don't close. They just learn how to bleed quietly. The lieutenant gathers us for a quick head count. His voice is steady enough, a practiced steadiness soldiers cling to when the world starts shaking. We hold the line, he says. We stay sharp. They may test us again before dawn. His words hang in the air like an unfinished sentence. Before dawn. Before tomorrow. Jefferson whispers, Cal, I don't think I can make it to tomorrow. I grip his shoulder, pulling him close so he hears the truth, not the lie we tell ourselves, but the truth we survive by. You already made it through today. That's enough for right now. He nods slowly, as if trying to believe it. Walker sits beside us, lighting a cigarette with trembling hands. He takes a long drag, then passes it to me. Smoke, Ohio. It's a night for bad habits. I take a drag even though I've never liked cigarettes. Tonight it tastes like borrowed courage. Walker exhales smoke toward the broken sky. You know what I hate most about this place? He says quietly. It's not the fear. It's not the heat. It's not even the fighting. He pauses, tapping ash from the cigarette. It's the way a man's whole life can fit into a folded piece of paper, a letter, a prayer, a damn half-written thought. He looks at the one I'm holding, Mendez's letter, and shakes his head. No one should leave the world with so much left unsaid. His words hit me hard because that's exactly what I'm doing here. Writing the things I never said. Trying to finish the pieces of myself before the world takes the rest. The night moves on, slow, suffocating. Every sound becomes a threat. Every shadow a test. Every heartbeat a countdown. I think about Mom, how she'd rub circles on my back when I cried as a child. I think about Tommy, how he'd beg me to play catch even when my hands were freezing. I think about Sarah, how she said, if you ever feel alone, write to me, even if the letter never gets here. And so I write to her, to them, to whoever might read this someday. Because while war steals many things, it hasn't taken my voice yet. Before I stop for now, I need to write this, something I've been circling for days. If I fall, don't remember the way I died. Remember the way I lived, the way I loved, the way I hoped for tomorrow, even when tomorrow felt impossible. Tonight, I'm holding on to hope with trembling hands, but I'm holding it still. Dear God, it's past midnight now, and the world feels like it's holding itself together by a single fragile thread. The men are exhausted, not just in their bodies, but in their souls. You can see it in the way they lean against the sandbags, heads bowed, eyes half closed, as if sleep is a country they no longer have the passport for. But none of us can truly rest, not tonight. The jungle is restless, branches shifting, leaves murmuring in voices that don't belong to the wind. Walker breaks the silence with a low whisper. Ohio, you still with us? I nod, barely. My shoulder throbs. My chest feels tight. My breath keeps tripping over itself. But I'm here, still here. He shifts closer, lowering his voice. You ever think about the future? I mean, really think about it? The question surprises me. Walker doesn't talk about the future. He talks about the past stories from Arkansas, from fishing trips, from nights at bars where the music was too loud and the beer too cheap. But tonight, he's staring out at the dark, like the dark might answer him. I used to, I say quietly. Before I got here, what'd you want? The truth spills out before I can shape it. A life, I whisper. Just a life, a home, a family, a chance to grow old without fearing the world was waiting to take something from me. Walker nods slowly. I wanted that too, he murmurs. But life doesn't always hand out tomorrows. A strange comfort passes between us. A silent understanding that we are men caught between two worlds, the one we came from and the one we may never leave. Jefferson stirs beside us, wiping his face with his sleeve. Cal, he whispers, if something happens to me, Will you tell my mom I wasn't scared? My throat tightens. I will. I promise. But you're going to tell her yourself. A small, fragile smile flickers across his face, one that breaks my heart even as it warms it. He lays his head back against the sandbag wall, eyes closing for a moment. I just want one more morning, he murmurs. Just one. I swallow hard. Me too. The minutes stretch like hours. Shadows crawl across the ground. The moon slips behind clouds. A distant rumble shakes the earth. Artillery, far away. The sound sends shivers through every man awake. Feels like the world's groaning, Walker mutters. And he's right. It does. I take out the letter again, this letter, and try to steady my hand as I write. My pencil drags across the paper, each word feeling like it could be my last. If anyone finds this, know that I wrote it trying to hold myself together, trying to remember who I was before fear became my shadow. Jefferson suddenly grips my arm. Calliston, I freeze, and then I hear it too. Footsteps, soft, measured, wrong. They're not animals. They're not the wind. Men, close. Walker harshly whispers, "Positions!" The lieutenant appears from the darkness, rifle raised, voice low but sharp. Hold, hold, hold. The footsteps stop. A dead quiet follows. So complete it feels like the world stopped breathing. My heart slams against my ribs. My hands grip my rifle until my fingers ache. Jefferson is trembling silently beside me. I place a hand on his back, not to calm him, to anchor him. 1 second, 2, 5, 10. A twig snaps, then another, then nothing. The jungle retreats again into silence, as if mocking our fear. The lieutenant gives the signal to stand down, but he doesn't relax. None of us do. The air tastes like metal. My lungs burn. I whisper, barely audible, "Why are they waiting?" Walker answers without looking at me. "They want us tired, scared, worn, thin." Jefferson shivers. It's working. And he's not wrong. We're stretched so tight that one more loud sound might shatter us. I close my eyes for a moment, just a moment, and picture home. Mom flipping pancakes on Sunday mornings. Tommy shouting at the radio during baseball games. Sarah whispering my name like a prayer. For a few seconds, I let myself live in those memories. Let them wash over me like warm sunlight. Because tomorrow is no guarantee. Not here. Not for any of us. When I open my eyes, the sky is beginning to lighten ever so slightly. Not sunrise yet, but the faintest hint that the world hasn't ended. Jefferson sees it too. "Cal, look," he whispers. We all look. A pale blue smudge creeping along the horizon, like a promise unsure of itself. Walker lets out a shaky breath. "Well, I'll be damned. We might just make it to morning." But his voice is soft, cautious, as if he's afraid the dawn might hear him and change its mind. The lieutenant comes over again, kneeling beside us. "Stay alert," he says. "They may try one more push before sunrise." His voice is steady, but his hands are trembling. He looks at us like a man who knows that leadership sometimes means lying with your eyes while your heart tells the truth. He squeezes my shoulder lightly. "You holding up, Callahan?" I swallow. "Yes, sir." He nods, relieved, as if he needs to hear something human, to keep himself from falling apart. As he moves on, Walker murmurs, "Sun's coming, boys. Just hold on, just a little more." Jefferson whispers, "Think God hears us, Cal?" And for the first time tonight, I don't hesitate. I think he hears the ones who whisper the loudest. Jefferson smiles, small, tired, breaking, but it's a smile still. The sky brightens another shade. Almost morning, almost tomorrow. And I write this now with a shaking hand because I need someone, someday, to understand. We survive the night, but morning isn't promised. Not yet. Still, we're here. Still breathing, still fighting, still praying. And maybe, just maybe, tomorrow's listening. Dear God, dawn is here. And I think this may be my last chance to write. The sky is streaked with pale orange now, soft and fragile, as if the world is trying to apologize for the night it put us through. But dawn does not bring safety. It brings movement. It brings orders. It brings the next page of whatever fate has already written. And fate feels very close this morning. Walker is gearing up, quiet, focused, jaw clenched like he's holding back a lifetime of words he never said. He nods at me. "You good, Ohio?" I try to smile. Good enough. Behind him, Jefferson is tying his boots with trembling fingers. He catches my eye and forces a small grin. "Looks like we made it to morning," he whispers. "Yeah," I say softly. "We did." But some part of me knows, deep, aching, honest, that I won't make it to another one. The lieutenant gathers us. His voice is steady, but his eyes betray him. We have movement on the tree line. They may try another push before we reposition. Stay sharp, stay together, stay alive, is what he means. But some things can't be commanded into being. I reach into my pocket, pulling out the small wooden horse Hank carved for me. The smooth edge under my thumb feels like a goodbye. I tuck it next to this letter, close to my heart, where it has always stayed. Jefferson adjusts his helmet and says quietly, "When we get home, first round's on me." I want to tell him the truth, that I don't think I'll be there, that this place has already taken more from me than I can give, but he needs hope more than he needs honesty. So I say, "It's a deal." The lieutenant raises his fist, signal to freeze. A rustle, a shadow, a breath of danger drifting through the morning air. Then the world erupts. Gunfire shreds through the clearing. Dirt explodes beneath our feet. Men shout, "Duck! Return fire!" Walker pulls me behind a log. "Left side! They're pushing left!" Jefferson screams my name somewhere behind me. I turn, and in that moment, I see the flash. A burst of fire, a split-second spark of fate. Then pain, white-hot, blinding, slams into my chest. My legs buckle. The world tilts. The sky drops away. I fall to the ground, dirt rushing to meet my face, my breath torn from my lungs. Someone is shouting. Someone is dragging me back. Someone says my name. "Cal! Cal! Stay with me! It's Jefferson," his voice breaking, his hands slippery with my blood. I try to speak, but the world is muffled now, distant, as if I'm underwater. Walker appears beside him, pressing his hands against the wound. I feel nothing. Nothing at all. "Don't you die on me, Ohio. Hey!" Stay with us. But their voices sound so far away. And God, I'm so tired. I feel the letter in my pocket, the weight of it warm against my chest. My last prayer, my last truth. I want to tell them to take it, to send it home, to let my mother read my voice one last time, to let Sarah know I kept my promise as long as I could. But my mouth won't move. The sky is brighter now, soft gold spilling between the trees. A morning I prayed for, a morning I won't live to see fully. Jefferson's face blurs. His tears fall on my uniform. "Please, Cal, don't go. Don't go." I want to tell him it's okay, that he'll make it home, that this isn't his fault. But the world is dimming, edges softening, sounds fading. Everything feels light, soft, peaceful. And then, just before the world slips away, I see her, Sarah, standing in the sunlight, smiling, hand outstretched. "Mikey," she whispers, "come home." And so, I do. Weeks later, Cedar Grove, Ohio. The letter arrives. Mrs. Callahan opens the mailbox and sees the envelope, worn, creased, stamped with military ink. Her hands tremble. Inside is the letter, his letter, the last words her son ever wrote. She sits at the kitchen table, his seat still waiting, and reads every line with trembling lips. Tommy stands beside her, one hand gripping her shoulder, tears sliding silently down his cheeks. And Sarah, sweet Sarah, presses the letter to her heart, as if trying to hold the last warm piece of him. When she reaches the final words, "I didn't die despising life. I died wanting more of it," she breaks. The family weeps together, not just for the boy they lost, but for the future he prayed for. But somehow, in the ache, in the silence, in the softness of their grief, his letter becomes a light, a healing, a homecoming, a final whisper from a soldier who loved deeply, hoped fiercely, and prayed for one more tomorrow. And though he never returned, his words did. They always will. Thank you for staying with us tonight at Kitchen Table Talks. Some stories end with celebration, some end with answers, but then there are stories like this one, stories that end quietly, softly, on a morning that came too soon. Private Michael Callahan never made it home, but his words did. And sometimes the last thing a man leaves behind is the truest thing he ever had to give. His letter didn't save him, but it saved something else. It saved the memories that would have died with him. It saved the love he carried across oceans, and it saved a family who needed to know that in his last moments, he still believed in tomorrow. To all of you listening tonight, if you felt something, if someone came to mind, if a forgotten memory stirred in the quiet, don't let it pass. Reach out, call them, write the words you've been holding on to. Say what's in your heart while you still can. Because stories like this remind us of a truth we don't say often enough. Tomorrow is never promised, but love. Love endures. If tonight's story touched you, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. I'm Pat Sajak, and it has been an honor to share this time with you. Until our next story, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep a light on for the ones who are still finding their way home. Good night.